Hello, I'm Lamisila Pamela Ngubane, and this is the Entity Dynamics podcast. Entity Dynamics is a culture development consultancy where we believe that culture creates behavior and behavior creates reality. Okay, so the title of this video is Why NPOs Fail to Achieve Their Goals. They need to choose the right people. So, I did a video before where I talked about why NPOs fail to achieve their goals. And in that one, I spoke about how they have worldviews within their organizational culture that hinder them from actually being able to train people to become the drivers of their own sustainable development, and also that hinder their projects from being able to be sustainable in the long term. Okay, so in this one, I'm talking about the need to choose the right people. So I believe that the right people in terms of stakeholder engagement primarily, and also the right people in terms of who they're going to employ within their organizations, the NPOs. The people they need to choose are empaths. Okay. And it's very interesting because when I talk about this, yesterday I had an experience where I managed to get my nails done for free because there's a lady who trains single moms to become beauty technicians. She has a spa and she trains single moms to become beauty technicians so that they can have a chance of dignified employment. And you know, the work experience, the development, entrepreneurial development, etc., so they can become drivers of their own economic sustainability. So she's an empath, this lady, and the young lady who was doing my nails, she did such a good job, also an empath, you know. And it was very interesting talking to her because she was saying like, oh, I'm so sorry for taking so long with this, and you know, I hope you don't mind. I was like, no, it's good that you take long. When you take long, it means that you're a perfectionist, you want to do your best, and you want to give your client the best service. And I said to her, it's also good that you are taking your time, because if you're going to rush through your training, then you're not going to become as good as you could be if you took your time to do it properly, even if it's slow. And it reminds me of when I used to play piano in high school and in primary school. My teachers would always tell me, go slowly. When you know the song slowly, you'll be able to play it at the right speed, or faster if you insist, because you've learned slowly. Same thing with doing my driving lessons before I did my test. My instructor was like, you take it slow, you don't owe anyone on the road anything, you know. So that's what I told her, basically. Slow and steady wins the race every time. And I explained to her, you know, that we live in this world which is essentially run by narcissists, and narcissists don't care about doing their best. They don't care about the satisfaction of their clients. They're just there to get what they can get in the time they have to get it, because deep down they know that at some point they're going to be discovered that they're actually narcissists, they're fake, they're not giving a proper service, they're probably going to have to cut and run. Anyway, unfortunately though, we also live in a world where people have been programmed to accept the nonsense service that narcissists give and the nonsense behavior of narcissists. Okay, so I also believe, and I told this lady yesterday, is that the world is actually divided in this framework that I'm coming from, because there's lots of different ways you can divide human populations. Okay, but for this particular framework that I'm talking about, I believe that the human population is divided into 3 parts. You've got the empaths, the general population, and the narcissists. I believe that the general population seeks to advance its own self-interest, which is not a bad thing. Every organism does that. Why do octopuses have ink, which they spray? It's to blind their predator so that they can get away. Every organism seeks its own self-preservation, okay? But the empath is a person who is willing to sacrifice themselves for the good of the whole, you know, and the narcissist is the one who is willing to sacrifice the whole for their own good. Okay, so when the narcissists are in power, the general population that seeks to advance its own self-interest will go along with whatever the narcissists do. The general population that seeks to advance its own self-interest will go along with whoever's in power, because being on the good side of the powerful will enable you to advance your self-interest, okay? So if the narcissists are running the show, the general population is going to go along with what the narcissists are doing. The narcissists say, y'all need to lock yourselves up in your houses because there's a pandemic, which we're not even going to provide you proper treatment for. We're going to block your ability to treat yourselves the way that's actually beneficial to you. We're going to block you from advancing your own ways of treating this pandemic. The general population will go along with the narcissists because they just want peace. They don't want to be disturbed by the state, which has the monopoly on the use of force, right? Empaths, then, if we are actually serious about bringing heaven down to earth, about having a world where people are living in peace, in security, where children are not being corralled into institutions where they're supposed to be getting an education but are ending up getting indoctrinated to become yes men of narcissists, right? Then we're going to have to empower the empaths, right? So this is actually where my focus is going to start going now. It's going to start going towards really seeking to empower the empaths in this world, because I believe that if there's anyone on this planet who is a vehicle for the long-term sustainable, positive, and progressive development of human civilization, it is the empaths. It's the empaths. And I believe that this is where NPOs need to also start waking up about who they are choosing to employ in their organizations and who they are choosing to work with in the communities that they are seeking to launch their interventions. Okay, so now how do you know what an empath is, right? How do you know that you're choosing an empath and not a narcissist? Well, there's two things which I definitely think will work. I'm sure there's other ones, and if you guys can think of other ones, please let me know. And we can continue this discussion because I'm sure I'll figure out some more. And you know what? I could have gone online to find this information, but I actually prefer to just think about it myself, intuit it myself, and then bring it to the discussion here. Okay, because I also believe that what you internalize and know internally for sure is what you can actually teach in a way that connects to the people you're trying to reach, your audience. Whereas if you're just going to regurgitate information that you know cerebrally, but haven't felt on a soul level, you're not going to connect it to your audience, and you're not going to connect it to your own internal worldview, which is constantly evolving anyway, you know. So I'm also constantly learning, and I'm constantly evolving my worldview. And if you see my videos from when I started to where I am now, there's an evolution there, undoubtedly. Anyway, so narcissists are incredibly good at masking, especially the covert narcissists. So there's overt and covert. Overt is like the ones who you can just see, okay, this is obviously a narcissist. They're grandiose. They have delusions of grandeur. They have no problem walking all over people. They even brag about it sometimes. They're ostentatious with their wealth. They don't mind being criminals and flaunting their ill-gotten gains. Like, you know, just exceedingly unpleasant people. But unfortunately, a lot of the time we find society celebrating these people, right? And I think this is because of the deep-seated conditioning, intergenerational conditioning that humanity has undergone for, you could even say, like centuries, honestly, where we've been made to believe that narcissists are just powerful alpha men and alpha women, and, you know, they're go-getters, and we should just respect them because they have the guts to go for what they want. No, they have the guts to walk over people because they actually don't have a conscience. Okay, so, and that's why the world is the way it is, because it's run by narcissists. You know what I'm saying? Narcissists, they don't have any empathy. They lack empathy. That's why they're the opposite of the empath. They lack empathy. They don't have empathy for the planet. They don't have empathy for the plants. They don't have empathy for the animals. And they certainly don't have empathy for the humans. They don't even have empathy for their own children, these people. Okay, it's dire. It's dire. That's why the world is the way it is. And I think it's very important for us to really understand what narcissists are and what they do, so that we can actually pinpoint the problems in our society and their causes so that we can deal with them. Okay, so I'm going to carry on with this discussion in part 2, and I'll see you there.